The grand piano sat silent in the corner of the elegant living room. Claire Morgan stood in the doorway of the mansion, clutching her small bag of belongings. At 26, she'd never imagined working as a live-in housekeeper, but circumstances had stripped away the luxury of choice. Her music scholarship had evaporated when the conservatory closed, leaving her with half-finished dreams and mounting debt. The employment agency had been blunt. Mr. Donovan needs household help. He's a single father, CEO of Donovan Industries. The pay is excellent, but he's demanding and goes through staff quickly. His daughter has special needs. If you can last 3 months, it'll look great on your resume. Claire needed the money desperately. Her mother's care facility bills were crushing her, and pride was a luxury she couldn't afford anymore. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, gave Claire a quick tour of the sprawling home. Mr. Donovan works late most evenings. His daughter, Isabella, is 7 years old. She's blind from birth and quite shy. She has a nanny during the day, but evenings and weekends, staff help supervise. Your main duties are cleaning, some meal preparation, and being available if Isabella needs anything. Does she go to school? Claire asked. Private tutors come to the house. Mr. Donovan is very protective. Isabella doesn't leave the property much. Mrs. Chen's expression softened. The poor child is lonely. Her mother died when she was 2. Mr. Donovan loves her but doesn't know how to connect with her. He provides everything except what she needs most, which is someone to see her, not just her blindness. That evening, Claire was tidying the living room when she heard small footsteps. A little girl with blonde hair and a white dress appeared in the doorway, her hand trailing along the wall for guidance. A white ribbon covered her eyes. Hello, Claire said softly. You must be Isabella. I'm Claire, the new housekeeper. Isabella turned toward her voice. You sound young. The last housekeeper sounded old and tired. I'm 26. And you're right, the last housekeeper probably was tired. Taking care of this big house is a lot of work. Do you think I'm a lot of work? Isabella asked, a note of sadness in her voice. Claire's heart broke a little. I think you're a person, not work. Would you like to keep me company while I dust? Isabella smiled, a shy, tentative expression. Okay. As Claire worked, Isabella followed the sound of her movements, asking questions. What color were the curtains? What did the paintings look like? How tall were the windows? Claire described everything in detail, painting pictures with words. Isabella listened with an intensity that suggested she was starved for this kind of attention. What's that? Isabella asked suddenly, pointing toward the piano. That's a grand piano. Do you know what a piano is? Daddy says Mommy used to play it. But nobody plays it anymore. He keeps it locked. Claire walked over to the beautiful instrument. The fallboard was indeed locked, and the whole piano looked as though it hadn't been touched in years. Dust coated the glossy black surface. Your mother must have loved music, Claire said gently. I don't remember her, Isabella whispered. Daddy says I was too little. But sometimes I dream about music, and I think maybe I'm remembering her playing. Would you like to learn about the piano? Claire asked. I can't play it since it's locked, but I can describe it to you. Isabella nodded eagerly. Claire guided the little girl's hands over the instrument's surface, describing the smooth wood, the keys beneath the locked cover, how the sound was created by hammers striking strings inside. I wish I could hear it, Isabella said wistfully. Maybe someday your father will unlock it. He won't. He says it makes him too sad. Over the next 2 weeks, Claire and Isabella developed a routine. The little girl would seek Claire out each evening, hungry for conversation and connection. They'd explore the house together, Claire describing everything in vivid detail, Isabella soaking up every word. One evening, Claire was cleaning the living room when Isabella appeared with something in her hands. Mrs. Chen said you went to music school before you came here, Isabella said. Is that true? Yes, I studied piano performance. I was training to be a concert pianist. Why did you stop? The school closed and I ran out of money to continue elsewhere. Isabella held out what she'd been carrying, a key. This is for the piano. I heard Mrs. Chen tell the gardener where Daddy keeps it. I took it. Will you play for me? Please? Claire hesitated. Isabella, your father might not want... Please, the little girl interrupted, tears forming behind her ribbon. I need to hear it. I need to know if the music in my dreams is real. Looking at Isabella's pleading face, Claire made a decision that could cost her this job. But some things mattered more than job security. She unlocked the piano and lifted the fallboard. The keys were dusty but intact. She sat down, and Isabella immediately climbed up beside her. "What should I play?" Claire asked. "Something beautiful, something my mommy might have played." Claire thought for a moment, then began Debussy's Clair de Lune. The notes filled the room, tentative at first, then growing in confidence. The piano was slightly out of tune, but still magnificent. Isabella's face transformed. Tears streamed from beneath her ribbon as she leaned against Claire, absorbing the music not just through her ears, but through the vibrations of the bench. The piano, Claire's body next to hers. "It's the music from my dreams," Isabella whispered. She used to play this. Claire continued playing, transitioning into Mozart, then Chopin. Isabella laughed with delight at the faster pieces, swayed with the slower ones. She placed her small hands on top of Claire's, feeling the movements. "Teach me," Isabella begged. "Please teach me to make this music. Your hands are still small." "But we can start with simple things," Claire said, showing her how to find middle C, how the keys made different sounds. They were so absorbed in the music that neither noticed the man standing in the doorway. Damien Donovan had come home early, drawn by the impossible sound of his late wife's piano being played for the first time in 5 years. He'd stood frozen in the hallway, listening to music he'd locked away because it hurt too much to hear. But what stopped his anger was the sight before him. His daughter, who lived in a world of darkness and isolation, absolutely radiant with joy. Isabella was laughing, her small hands trying to mimic Claire's on the keys, completely unaware that her father was watching. He'd seen his daughter smile before, but never like this. Never with such unguarded happiness. Claire must have sensed his presence because she suddenly turned, her face going pale when she saw him. "Mr. Donovan, I can explain—" "Daddy!" Isabella exclaimed, turning toward his voice. "Claire plays the piano like Mommy used to. She's teaching me! Isn't it wonderful?" Damien walked slowly into the room. His expression was unreadable. Claire stood, preparing to be fired. "Isabella, would you give me a moment alone with Claire?" he asked quietly. "She's not in trouble, is she? I took the key. I made her play. No one's in trouble. I just need to talk with Claire. Go find Mrs. Chen." Isabella reluctantly left, and the silence stretched between Claire and Damien. "I'm sorry," Claire began. "I know I shouldn't have touched the piano without permission, but Isabella wanted so badly to hear music, and she's so isolated here. How long have you been playing with her?" Damien interrupted. "This is the first time with the piano, but I've been spending time with her each evening, describing things, talking, just being present." "Why?" The question surprised Claire. "Because she's lonely. Because she's a bright, wonderful child who's starving for connection and attention. Because—" She stopped, not wanting to criticize. "Because I don't give her enough," Damien finished. His voice was heavy with pain. "Say it. It's true." "I wasn't going to say that, but it's what you're thinking. It's what everyone thinks. That I'm so focused on work I've neglected my daughter. I think," Claire said carefully, "that you're doing your best under impossible circumstances. That grief makes things hard. That love doesn't always know what form to take." Damien walked to the piano and ran his hand over the keys. "My wife Sophia played every day. This house was always filled with music. When she died, I locked the piano because hearing it felt like a betrayal of her memory. But watching Isabella just now," his voice cracked. "I've been so focused on protecting her from pain that I've protected her from joy, too." "It's not too late to change that," Claire said gently. He looked at her then, really looked at her. "You studied piano performance?" "Yes, at the Eastman Conservatory before it closed. Yet you're working as a housekeeper. Life doesn't always go according to plan. But I've learned that every experience teaches us something. This job, being here with Isabella, it's taught me that music isn't just about performance. It's about connection." Damien was silent for a long moment. "I'd like to offer you a different position. Not housekeeper, but music teacher for Isabella. And—" he hesitated. "For me, I want to reconnect with my daughter. I think music might be the bridge I've been looking for." Claire's eyes widened. Mr. Donovan, Damien, and I'm serious. Isabella needs this. I need this. Name your salary. Over the following months, the mansion transformed. Music filled the rooms again as Claire taught Isabella to play. The little girl had natural talent and boundless enthusiasm. She learned to read Braille music notation and spent hours at the piano, her face glowing with concentration and joy. Damien began joining the lessons. He was rusty, his fingers clumsy after years away from the instrument, but he persisted. More importantly, he and Isabella began communicating through music in ways words had never accomplished. Claire watched them play simple duets together, saw the bond reforming, strengthening. Damien learned to see his daughter not as a fragile child to be protected, but as a person with her own strengths and capabilities. 6 months after that first evening at the piano, Damien found Claire in the music room organizing sheet music. "I have a question for you," he said, "and I want you to answer honestly." "Of course. Do you regret taking this job? Giving up on returning to performance school for yourself?" Claire considered carefully. "A year ago, I would have said my dream was to perform in concert halls, to be recognized as a musician. But I've learned something here. Success isn't just about achieving our own dreams. Sometimes it's about helping others discover theirs." She gestured toward the piano, where Isabella practiced every day. "That little girl is going to be an incredible musician, not despite her blindness, but incorporating it into how she experiences and creates music. She hears things others miss. She feels rhythms in her bones, and I get to be part of nurturing that gift." "You've changed our lives," Damien said quietly. "Both of ours. You've given Isabella joy and purpose. You've given me back my daughter. You've filled this house with music and light again." "You did that," Claire corrected, "by being willing to unlock the piano, to face your pain, to connect with Isabella through the thing your wife loved most." Damien stepped closer. "Sophia would have loved you. She would have loved seeing Isabella flourish like this, and she would have wanted—" He paused, searching for words. "I've been alone for 5 years, believing I'd never feel connection again. But watching you with Isabella, teaching both of us to see music as connection rather than performance, you've reminded me that love takes many forms. That family can be built as well as born." Claire's breath caught. "Damien, I'm not asking for anything," he said quickly. "Just telling you that you've become essential to this family, that we need you, that He stopped, emotion overwhelming him. 2 years later, Claire stood in an elegant dress as Isabella played piano at what had become a tradition. Monthly charity concerts at the Donovan Mansion, raising money for music education programs for blind children. Isabella, now 9, played with confidence and grace, her fingers dancing across the keys. In the audience, children and adults alike listened with rapt attention as this young blind pianist demonstrated that limitations exist only in imagination. After the performance, Damien found Claire backstage. He took her hand and the ring on her finger caught the light. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what?" "For being brave enough to unlock the piano. For seeing my daughter when I'd forgotten how. For bringing music back to this house and love back to my life." Claire squeezed his hand. "Thank you for letting me, for showing me that the greatest performances aren't on concert stages. They're in living rooms with little girls who need to hear music. They're in the daily choice to connect through whatever gifts we've been given." Isabella ran to them, her face flushed with excitement. "Did I do well? I felt like I played the Chopin perfectly." "You were magnificent," Claire said, hugging her. "Your mother would have been so proud." "I think she was watching," Isabella said seriously. "I could feel it. And I think she's happy that Daddy smiles now, that our house has music again, that we're a family." She couldn't see their tears, but she felt them when both Claire and Damien hugged her tight, holding on to the family that had been built through music, love, and the courage to unlock what had been closed away. Because sometimes the most beautiful music comes from the most unexpected places. Sometimes a housekeeper with a locked-away dream becomes the key to opening hearts that grief had sealed. And sometimes the courage to play a single note can change everything. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales about finding purpose in unexpected places. Comment about a time when sharing your gifts changed someone's life. Those moments of connection create symphonies more beautiful than any concert hall can hold.